So, hello. Today we are going to be going down to the Platte River, North Platte River, looking for bull snakes. Going to meet up with my friend Donnie Claunch. He has a biology degree from University of Wyoming, and he's just kind of a real bug, plant, animal nerd in the best sense. Learned a ton from him, and we always have really interesting conversations about animals and science. So we're going to meet up with him today and go down to the river and look for bull snakes.
So this is milkweed right here. No flowers on it right now, so we don't get to see the flower, but this is toxic. Nothing can eat this except for a handful of insects and probably some mammals and other things, but specifically monarch caterpillars will eat this. They are able to handle the toxins that are in it, and then they actually store that in their wings when they become adults, and that's why other things won't eat the monarchs, because they've got the toxins from the milkweed stored in their body. If it was warmer in the day, we might see a bright red beetle crawling around on this. It's another bug that eats on these, and the bright red color of those is to kind of tell things not to mess with it because it's toxic as well. So.
Do you know what the name of the beetle is?
I do not, but we could look it up quickly. And just a quick generic thought in my head, honestly, would be that it might be called the milkweed beetle.
Oh,
just for sake
clever.
of, yeah. So it's got a lot of names. They call it horse grass. It's also called Echinacea. I believe that's one of the scientific names of it. So this is, everyone's seen this. It's a jointed plant that comes apart like this. Well, the cool thing about this plant is these plants predate flowering plants. Before plants ever had flowers, these were one of the things that was alive. And if you can see the top of this one right here, it's got this weird little bulbous top thing. These reproduce via spores, kind of like fungus do.
And ferns?
Yep, and furs, yep. And these actually are just probably, I think these are older than ferns, maybe? I'm not quite sure though on that one. Interesting thing about these is that way before flowering plants, these grew as big as all these trees that are around us. Huge bases, 30 feet tall, these things. Also very interesting, there's a lot of silica in these plants. So they've been able to tell that various indigenous people over time have chewed on this, and it really does a lot in wearing down your teeth if you chew on it. And I think they chewed on it for various medicinal reasons.
Cool.
Okay. So we just lost a cool beetle back there under the log. It was too fast for our slow human limbs. But a cool fact about beetles is that there are so many of them. We, as scientists, have identified about 2 million things, including grasses, other plants, birds, big animals, small animals, microbes. 2 million things have been identified and named. People estimate there could be upwards of about 10 million. 600,000 of the named things on the planet are beetles. So 1/3 of everything we've identified is a beetle. Beetles do everything. Beetles hunt, beetles eat decaying matter, beetles eat things they find in the dirt, beetles eat grass. So there is a beetle literally for every type of job that needs to be done out in nature. So.
Oh, are they cool aphids, Donnie? Because they poop all over my car.
Well,
it's shiny and sappy.
So, fun fact about that. So here you go. So, the reason it's like that is the aphids are coming, they have a long beak-like snout that they'll shove into the plant, into the leaves of the plant, and they start sucking the juices from it. Well, what they're getting is a little bit of the sugar, and most of what they're getting is sugar. There's a small amount of protein in there, and that's what they need more than the sugar. So most of the sugar just coming right out of their butt, just straight out of their butt. Fun fact then, the ants come and they clean up the sugar that's coming straight out of the aphids' butts. So if you try to run the aphids off, and other things that try to run the aphids off, the ants will defend them, because the ants and the aphids have formed a mutualistic relationship where they're each helping each other out. Aphids get protection from the ants get free sugar. It's a beautiful situation, not for your car, but it's cool for everybody else.
Yes. So now. Okay, so there's a lot of trees that have been taken down by beavers, pretty obviously. This is an old one. But I'm just asking Donnie about beavers along the Platte because I don't get it. Are they here? Were they here?
They are here. I've heard of people seeing them. I've never seen one myself. But over by the golf course, which is where I ride my bike a lot, I've seen a lot of trees that have been down by beavers, and then recently you can tell that the wood is, you know, freshly chewed on. So they are here. They just.
But they're not going to dam the Platte, right?
No, definitely not. No, and I don't think in places like Wyoming beavers build dams on things like this. And I don't know much about them in other places, but they do it up on, you know, small mountain streams and stuff like that. But they don't have enough to do it here. I'm not sure why they do it here. I'm not sure what a beaver's main scope is if he's not. I don't know.
Okay, good. We both don't know. But there you have it. Beavers on the Platte. Those black beetles that we saw earlier.
So this one is different than the one we saw earlier. So this one is a darkling beetle. In fact, this is what mealworms turn into.
What? No.
That's what I said the first time. So yeah, this is called a darkling beetle. They will secrete smelly stuff if you grab them, so that you won't try to mess with them.
Do you think he's secreting smelly stuff now while he's fighting off all these ants?
Well, if he's still able to, yes. But he's not doing so good. I see that front right leg still moving a little bit, but he's having a rough time.
Yeah. Sorry, pal.
Yep, darkling.
It's the circle of life.
Yeah, he definitely stinks. Let's find out. No, he doesn't smell too bad. He really doesn't. Surprisingly.
He's dying a dignified death.
He is.
Cool.
We didn't get that either.
No, we got none of that.
Nice.
So, corvids.
Corvid is the group of, it's a family of birds that have all jays, crows, ravens. They are extremely smart birds. Really good at figuring out, I'm gonna say puzzles, I guess, in nature. You know, there's the old famous Aesop's fable about the raven that was trying to get the food out of the water and put pebbles in the water to lift the water level up, and then was able to get the worm or whatever it was. Well, that experiment's been done for real by scientists, and they've done multiple things similar to that with the ravens to find out their problem-solving abilities. They're extremely intelligent birds, very good at analyzing the environment, figuring out how to overcome a task, to get food. They will break twigs sometimes and use them as a tool, stick it inside of a hole in a tree to work a grub out and eat it and stuff like that. And it's one of the only situations of animals using tools in nature. It doesn't happen very often. Danica had an interesting raven situation at her house recently.
So I found a baby raven, or my daughter really did, and she was hopping around. She didn't look like she felt good, and I was able to capture her really easily, and I thought she was going to die because she was like falling asleep in my lap, which isn't normal for any animal to be that comfortable with a human. So I gave her some water and she perked up, she sat up, and then we went out and grabbed some worms, and she was eating lots of worms, and then she started moving her wings around. So I realized that she probably needed to go back to her mom and dad and let her out. So for the past few days, we've been watching her, and she was on the ground again. So I thought something was wrong, and I went to capture her. Only this time she put up a fight. She was very angry, and her mom and dad were screaming at me from the tree. So I realized she was fine, and I let her go. So after doing some research, I realized that ravens fall out of the nest pretty early. It's fairly common for that to happen. So her being on the ground was perfectly natural. Now, the day I found her, I found out she'd been locked in a garage for about 3 days. So that's why helping her for that little period of time perked her up. But honestly, her parents probably would have taken care of her if I'd just left her alone. So yeah, don't pick up baby ravens. Their mom and dad are there.
So while crows live in very large groups, I mean, you see the huge groups of, you know, up to 20 birds or whatever, those are crows. Ravens, on the other hand, live in fairly small groups that are just usually a fairly tight-knit family, usually mom and dad, and then 1 or 2 generations of young. Neat thing is the young will stick around for 1 or 2 seasons to help with the care of the younger ones, to help make sure they're safe, you know, to protect the nest while mom and dad are hunting, do a little bit of hunting on their own so they can kind of learn how to raise their own family. So yeah, they're definitely a very, very tight-knit family group.
So there's the thing you know about ravens now. Super cool, really smart. It's fun watching her learn stuff. I'll see her in trees, so she is trying to fly, and I can always tell where she's at because mom and dad are yelling at her the whole time. So I guess some things are common through the animal kingdom. Just listen for mom and dad yelling and you'll find the kids.
Oh, he keeps the worm. Poor worm.
Oh, goodness. Did you get that one down? This is big. There we go.
Oh,
Ugh.
no.
Gross.
Is it on you? Oh, the guts are everywhere. Here. Ready? Is that better?
Ugh. Ugh. I don't know.
Is he crawling out of your mouth?
Yuck.
Okay. There's another piece of the worm in there. I'll grab it.
Okay. Right down the gullet. You gotta drop it right down the gullet.
Okay. I get
Yeah,
it.
it's hungry.
I get it.
I'm hungry.
Okay, it's a small one.
Is it stuck in your throat? I think it's stuck in its throat. It's so big.
No.
Did you
There
get
we
it?
go.
You good?
What a good crow.
A raven.
Raven. What should we name her?
We're not naming her. She's not ours.
I know. But can we name her? And then we can let her go?
Something was living inside of this though, crawling around and eating. In fact, you can kind of see in there shape, outline, contours of a bug. And if you look back here, that looks to me like either something came out, formed some sort of a cocoon, chrysalis type thing. I hate to use that term because I'm not saying it was a butterfly, but something metamorphosized and then left through the bottom of this. I don't know for sure, but that would be my guess if I had to guess. I'm gonna look around and see what I can see on some of the others. So this one, if you look, there's poop in there.
Oh.
Little pieces of various bug poop inside of there. So,
Ew, and a bug.
As that little guy, I feel bad doing that to him, was crawling around inside of that leaf, growing. Unfortunately, he's going to die now. He was eating and pooping and doing that, and then I would bet this was going to happen with him. He was going to leave through that hole and become whatever he was going to be, which I'm not quite sure. I have to look it up. It's the cottonwood, so we'll see what kind of small little grub type thing grows up inside the leaves. But there's a whole lot of them on this tree. I see several. Another. Same thing, he's still in there. You can see him in there in these little poops all over. And something like this, you know, it's small enough, non-intrusive enough, it's not really going to be a detriment to this tree. You know, if this was on every single leaf, that would be a problem, but that's not the case. Pests like this don't want to hurt the tree, because if they run it out of nutrients, then they don't have a place to live, because something like that doesn't get to choose where it wants to live. It can only live likely in the cottonwood leaves.
Cool.
Yeah, that's neat. I've never seen that before. I've seen others, but not that exact one.
And as you can see, there are a lot of cottonwoods down here. Plenty of habitat. It's a Wyoming state tree. And it's pretty handy at sustaining lots of wind. That's why when a hurricane comes through the south at 70 miles an hour and trees get pulled up, they don't have the root system that like a cottonwood does, because 70-mile-an-hour winds down here is kind of like every Tuesday.
Yeah, one of these big, huge cottonwoods, it'll have a big root system. I mean, the size of a Volkswagen Beetle almost. So pretty massive.
Yeah, they can go out something like, I don't know, 100 feet.
Yeah.
So they root extensively deep, and so they can live in Wyoming. About nothing else. Tree-wise, like an oak, wouldn't make it very long here, because the root system can't handle it. So what will eat these tadpoles? And like a little kind of, there's no fish in here. It's too small of a...
So birds probably? Well, not probably, for sure birds. I would bet something of some kind would come down here and get some of these out of here. I'm not sure if there's any mammals that would come down and try to get them out of the water. I don't imagine there probably is, not around here. There might be, but I would say the main thing that they worry about getting eaten by would be birds.
And then this dries up by the end of summer. What happens to the frogs then? Where do they go?
Frogs will actually burrow down in the ground quite a ways, and they live under the ground throughout the winter.
Ah.
Yep, they'll burrow down while it's still wet and whatever, and
just wait it out.
Yeah, hang out. Pretty neat.
Yeah, it is strange there's no frogs croaking, because as you can see by the tadpoles, there's lots of frogs down here.
One thing that will eat them, we have some beetles that live in the water.
Ooh.
Amphibious beetles that they are known that they hunt things. They call them, one of the names they get is toe biter. They call a couple bugs toe biters because you're swimming around, they'll clamp down on with their chompers on your toes in the water, but those will also hunt small fish and tadpoles and stuff. So that's another thing. Tadpoles getting eaten by insects.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Still no bull snakes, which is kind of weird. We'll get them next time, maybe. Okay.
It's real, yo.
So, do they?
They do.
Okay, so
bull snakes, at least around here, the bull snakes that we have most definitely kill the rattlesnakes we have. We have the prairie rattler, which is not a very big or aggressive rattlesnake. Most people that have ever had a run-in with one will tell you that, but the bull snakes that live around here definitely will kill and eat rattlesnakes. Also tons of mice and frogs and other things, but they will most definitely kill rattlesnakes.
see, and I wasn't sure of that, because it seemed somewhat implausible.
It is. They're very strong and they're very aggressive.
They are a little aggressive. Donnie and I have talked a lot about bull snakes. I love them. I like messing with them, and Donnie just gets attacked by them.
They're kind of not my friends.
So we came down here looking for bull snakes. Haven't seen one. Last time I was here, I think we saw like 5. So I just imagine we stroll down here and see a ton of snakes and check them out, because they're interesting. We'll save that topic for later. Donnie will explain what a mimic is in nature. But probably it's because of the temperature. It's really mild today.
My bet would just be that it's not necessarily that it's not warm enough for the bull snakes. It's just that nothing that the bull snake wants to eat is out, so it's not going to be out hunting right now. And it could be, also that it doesn't want to be out because the rattlesnake doesn't come out until it gets significantly warmer, and I could imagine some of the same situation would apply to the bull snake. So maybe just a calmer day with less wind, a little warmer, we would have them. But we'll see.
You never know.
Well,
We'll find you some bull snakes before we're done, for sure, because they're wicked cool. I love them.
Yeah. Killdeer. So that bird is just away as a killdeer. One of the neat things that the killdeer will do is when you get close to their ground nesting bird, when you get close to it, if you're near their nest, they will actually kind of stick their wing out to the side and they make it look like it's broken, and they walk away in a weird pattern and act hurt to try to get they assume you're a predator. They want you to chase them to get away from their nest because they're not hurt, and once they get a little ways away from their nest, they will fly right back, go back to protecting their eggs. They seem a little bigger, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
Could be different frogs, obviously. Look at all of them over there. Watch.
Pretty cool, huh?
Right there. Where's one?
See all the cool.
The little black things that are swimming?
See these little black spots?
Are those tadpoles?
Yep.
Yep.
Sure are.
Where's that frog? I had a tadpole in my classroom last year.
Did it ever make it to the frog? Oh, really? That's cool.
It still had the tail.
Pretty neat.
That is super cool.
And they look pretty funny when they still got the tail, huh?
So it's super cool to see the kids. Now they're catching tadpoles because they're awesome. And looking for frogs.
The frog's not far from where they are now. It's not deep in the water. The frogs don't see it.
Oh, red-winged blackbirds. And they're probably eating bugs for sure, right?
I think they eat bugs, but I'm not 100% sure. I would just assume that considering this is their habitat, specifically, they, kind of live by rivers and stuff, but I would imagine that they are eating bugs. So the red-winged blackbirds, they move into habitat like this to start getting their nest ready for the season, to pick a mate and stuff like that. Well, the males will show up and they've got the little orange patch and then the big red patch on their wing. And the way that red patch works is the bigger your red patch on your wing, the more dominant, more powerful, we'll say, and then usually that bird is able to run off the younger birds, and then he will steal the area and use that as his habitat and hopefully attract a mate and be able to make some baby birds. And they will come in oftentimes and steal an established area that a younger bird has and just take it over from them, and now it's theirs. The way the animal kingdom works.
Whoa. So our trip today did not yield any snakes, which is hilarious because that was the plan coming down here. But we also knew we'd find a lot of other cool stuff. So we'll have to try bull snakes another day. When it's probably hotter out and a little less cool.
As the season progresses, we'll have just more things flower, more things are around to thrive on the plants, then more things are around to eat those and be around those things. So it sounds pretty simplistic, but as we move into summer, we'll just see far and far more things.
So thanks for joining Dr. Donnie, he's not really a doctor, and Danica for a little adventure time down on the North Platte River. Bye.
Bye.